Neil just said he can't get his hair cut for 12 weeks. I've been seeing a lot of memes about people with undercuts. I mean, like, it's gonna be gross. It's gonna be gross by the end of this isolation.
God.
Doxy had to peace out. She's a little unwell. And by a little, I mean a lot. Fucking sake, Neil.
I said unconfirmed. What more do you want?
Yeah, but that was just speculation. That's even worse.
I mean, that's everyone's response to COVID.
We are better than that. And you are going to go get a brew. You're going to go get a beer in Balcutta. You amble your sweet time. Bella's actually going to go check on the sleigh so that it doesn't get stolen if you're going to stay there for any extended period of time. So you can go into Balcutta and get a beer. Like I said, it's an amble. It's a slow. You don't want to aggravate any injuries or anything like that. But if you remember, last time you were in Balcutta, it has this one big open eating hall tavern kind of thing. Because there aren't that many travelers that come through. There are people that stop here and get their, you know, the barnacles scraped off the bottom of their boats and things. But there's not that much foot traffic. So the tavern
is
busy, but it's not like a city tavern, right?
Is it like a sailor's tavern?
Not 100%.
Because it's a port town.
There's a little bit of that, but it's not as far as you'd expect because it is...
It's a mix of everyone.
It's a mix of everyone, and also the kind of sailors that would go to Balcutta are not the kind of sailors you would see in most sailors' taverns, right? People with their independent little fishing boats or seafaring minotaur, which are even further different. So if you remember, it's basically one big chamber with, you know, rustic wooden tables that are like just fucking carved logs and on stilts and things like that. And you can get your beer. It's gonna be, I think, 2 copper each for a flagon, right?
Let's do it.
A flagon of frothy ale of
break into my gold.
Indeterminate value. Right, it's always funny when you get asked to go like, 6 copper for the beers, and you're like, oh yes, money. That exists. Because your culture doesn't use it.
Yeah, it's like a novel thing, paying with money, isn't it?
Yeah.
I approve.
But as you settle in and you find a place for the 3 of you to sit, it's kind of an uncomfortable amount of busy, right? It's late. The sun's just gone down. So there's people who are like having conversations before they're going to wrap up and sleep in the next room. You can already hear some snoring from the next room. There's the sloshing of the sea under the tavern because it's one of the ones that's on stilts kind of over the sea. Oh yeah,
there's the puppers, aren't there? The little sea puppers down there.
The wharflings.
Oh no, now I'm not going to sleep well.
Ah, the wharflings. Good remembering, Neil.
And you said wharflings, and now I'm just imagining a Klingon with a little, like
a little tiny, like it's a little, yeah, but with Worf's face.
God.
Captain. Captain.
Like 7 of them all saying.
Yeah, I know, right?
Captain. God.
Ian does not find amusement in this. He's sick of this.
I really get the joke, so.
That's right. You can't. Weeb and Star Trek do not mix. Oil and water. What do you guys want to do? You settle down with your beers.
What do we want to do?
These are Minotaur beers too. I don't know if I described it last time, but they're hearty portions of beer. Admittedly, it's really shit
5
beer,
pints.
but you don't know any better, really. You know, occasionally you occasionally get pretty good drinks from the gnomes, right? But it's a whole different situation, isn't it? There would even be a bard playing. There's someone playing around with an instrument who is not a performer and is drunk. But there's music.
Oh, Gil.
He's alive.
He's alive and he's a Minotaur.
He's wearing his skin suit all that time.
Where does Where did Balara go? Just for head.
She
She's
went
out
to
the
look after
sleigh.
the sleigh and the doggo.
Well, in the morning I'll need to try and get a spear.
Right, yeah, that's
Maybe I'll get extra if I'm able.
It's not a bad shout. Alternatively, you could just maybe buy a couple of spearheads and the pins. Easy enough business to make shafts. And then if you lose a head, attach it on, hammer through a pin. Hey presto, spear number 2.
There's a specific balance I like with mine. I don't know if I'm able to make them.
Fair enough. Just a thought. Rather than carrying 2 spears about, but
No, it might be worth learning that skill.
I have some degree of skill with the carving of wood. If you wish me to do such a thing or to teach you what I can.
Torrin gives you like a peculiar look when you say that. That kind of like, would Torrin know what tattoos are? Yeah, of course he would. I'm sorry.
He has a tattoo, yeah.
Torrin would look at him and be like, is that kind of like tattoos for us? Or is it like making sculptures out of dead people?
Noticeably, there is a carved Minotaur skull above the bar. Like, it's the skull of a large Minotaur and the horns. Very big horns, bigger than you've seen on any other Minotaur, and they've been carved into with these, like, fairly intricate designs.
Amaranth is silent for a very long moment, and then when you wander these lands, you need to be able to survive in any conditions. If your own body can serve as ammunition for that which protects you, then that is an enviable boon. And she takes out an arrow and like sort of holds it up like next to the bark. And it's like clear about, like, if it wasn't already clear, that's clearly made out of amaryllis.
I can very much imagine, because this conversation has kind of happened before, but Tauren just isn't mentally accepting that your equipment is made of you. It's quite evident, but Tauren is like, no.
Torrin will take like a big sip of ale and then he doesn't really reply back to that.
Do you feel pain, Amaryllis?
I feel... Yes, It is difficult to know whether what I experienced is the same as what a mortal would. These words we use to communicate do not encapsulate feelings well, but to be struck by an axe, to be hammered, to be wounded does cause me discomfort, yes. Although I feel perhaps it is muted in comparison to some of those native to the plains that I come from.
Richter chuckles when she said it causes discomfort and raises a glass at that and says, I believe we can all share that sentiment. And I like groan as I take a drink.
Amaranth hasn't touched the drink, it's still in front of her.
After that, there is a thump on the table of someone putting down a much larger drink, and then on the bench...
Someone wants to get knifed.
sits the silverback Minotaur you met last time, who's pretty much in charge of Balcutter, Charon. Big guy, one of his eyes missing, replaced with a golden coin, if you remember correctly. And also Minotaur showing age. He's like, "Ah! The children from down the valley."
Yep. Hello again. All right.
I see you're doing well. I just wanted to check on you.
Yeah, we've just been purifying the local church a bit. Oh, you know, nature spirit here speaks with the other nature spirit, clears them up right good. Takes a while though. Speedy, I guess, in, you know, if you're a tree.
The elder spirit that the church was built around should be renewed, although it will take many seasons for the land to be affected similarly.
What's his name? Sorry, Ollie. I've got
Charon. Yeah.
Charon. Okay. Yeah. Charon. Are you and yours aware of a sort of green coagulation? I don't know how best to describe it.
You mean the dragon's breath?
Yes, exactly.
Seeped deep into the ground.
After tonight, I believe what was once deep into the ground may be coming back. We, my friends and I, we actually had to dispatch some of that breath.
Strange times we live in. We thought we'd dealt with the worst of it. Thank you
Just
for
as a
the
warning.
warning. Yes.
Yes.
Did you come here just to cleanse the spirits?
Happy coincidence, really.
We have business elsewhere, but we were staying for the night at least, and my wooden friend here was a bit curious about the church.
Yes, you asked about it last time, if I remember correctly. Maybe if the land is cured, some of the priestesses will return.
Well,
Goddess Mother will bless this place again. We'll see, I suppose.
we're actually hoping to go and speak with some of them. You said they were in Shinebank.
Ah! You won't find many priestesses that worship the land in Shinebank. Those in Shinebank worship gold. That which flows from the sea.
It flows from the sea.
They make connections with all sorts of places. The Jarviskjir, the elves, the Tron, all over the world they have connections. It might take years on a ship, but once you spend years on a ship, those goods, they're worth more than their weight in gold. That's what the Tor in Shinebank do. They collect the money, the currency, the gold. Goddess knows what they spend it on. It's not like they're going up to Udar with it.
Imagine sailing to a different continent. Or 3.
A great many of the people in this tavern have probably been to them. If you're curious, I imagine some have been to Shinebank as well. Anyone that's wearing anything polished, I bet.
Well, have you? you've got a gold coin in your eye.
I
you been
died
to-
there. Their priests brought me back from the very brink of death during some particularly nasty mercenary work.
They brought you back.
Do not mistake. They worship gold, but they harbor real magic. It is
Interesting.
controlled. Only the strongest members of the family are allowed to benefit from it. Got into quite a scuffle because they healed me. Luckily, a priest who actually had some compassion saw me. Not insulting the present company, of course. The priests of Shinebank are a different sort.
I'm not sure I'd really call myself a priest anyway.
Would you call you?
Well, I'm nothing yet, but I suppose I would be the wise man, or something of the such, though that sounds very strange to say about myself.
All I'm saying, if you're going to Shinebank, keep a careful eye. It might be the most safe and most dangerous place on Mother's Horn all at once.
Is there any individual or group in Shinebank you trust that you speak to or seek the aid of?
That's a good question. When it comes to places like Shinebank, I trust the people. I don't trust the leadership. Individuals, they'll mostly be good. Some might be greedy. Some might be trying to get up in society. But the people usually are good. Good mercenary fights with a strong heart will always be good, like the lot of you.
Yes, it is much the same with my experience. There are some I know in that city.
Yo, you know people. Well, I always like to think most people are good. Just a few worms. Well, a single worm can ruin an entire apple. When you have a few of them, it's easy to see how a crop can be ruined. Unless you eat worms, I suppose.
Even a moldy apple can serve a purpose in the grander flow, however.
Yes, cider. Who is it you know in Shinebank? Doesn't make sense. Well, begging your pardon, but you don't really seem like you've. Well, you seem well travelled, but not in a city.
I have spent time, seasons, many, many seasons in this land. I have been to many places, some known, some not. Those I know in the city, this city. Descendants of a group of the word in this tongue would be adventurers, perhaps. When I was barely older than a sapling and first walked this side of the plain, they taught me much about how different it was from the Feywilds. Their descendants live on in the city. I see them periodically. They are trustworthy, at the least.
I see. So us mortals were able to teach you something.
I was but a sapling once, as you are now. I pass on my knowledge to you. And someday you will pass on your knowledge to your own young.
Well, obviously it goes without saying that we appreciate everything you've done for the village and the villagers.
Yes.
Though, I suppose really, if you wanted, you're kind of part of the village now, really. If you ever fancy taking root or something, I don't really know what you guys do when you get a bit on. There'll always be a place for you with us.
Always.
There's a long pause, and after there's a very slight smile, and she says, "Perhaps when my time comes to fade from the flow, I shall indeed take root in the center of your village and leave behind my physical form."
Well, village would have the nicest flowers around.
Charon, do you know of a place where I can acquire a few spears tomorrow? And perhaps something else?
Well, downside of a place like this, market shuffles every day or so. But I'll see if anyone has any stock.
Same goes for you, Charon. You've been very, very helpful to us. Even if we were doing you a favour, you treated us fairly, and we appreciate that. We do.
Well, always wise to extend a hand in friendship. A lot of people here don't like humans. The ones that live in the town are... I don't really know the word in your common tongue. And he, bumps Amaryllis, which I imagine Amaryllis just, sways. And doesn't react. But the humans here don't like the rest of us. They came from all over the seas, long time ago. Getting grey in the fur now, though. Not like your lot. Settled down, had weans.
I suppose we did come from over the sea some years ago. I guess our grandfathers did.
Yes.
A long time ago now, really. And now the villagers come to this.
If you did come over by ship, I wonder if there's remains of that ship in the skeleton yard of ships outside Balacutta. I wouldn't imagine they would have brought it all the way with them to your village. It's quite a way.
There's a skeleton yard? Well,
You've actually seen some of it.
yeah, I was going to say we did note some broken ships by the giant.
He nods, he's like, Shinebank has more visitors because they used powerful magic to clear the dangerous rocks from under the water, but here, not so much. Your people probably managed to get ashore, and what were they going to do with the ship? Unless they walked across the entire sea, there would be a ship that they brought with them. Either sunk to the ground, or under the sea. When it's low tide, you can see quite a lot of them. Most usually south or north of here. We clear the ones that dredge up our waterways.
Taran will glance at Rachel and say, I'd quite like to see that if it was there.
I think all of us would.
You might be able at low tide with a good eye.
When will low tide be tomorrow?
Fuck if I know. But at a reasonable time. At a reasonable time. I don't know the low tide. But he would tell you because he would absolutely know low tide, high tide. There's like 4. It loops 4 times a day, I think. As in there's low tide, high tide, low tide, high tide, and then that's the end of the day. So you have 2 chances, but you really want, low tide in the morning so you can see out.
Okay then, Sharon, we will wake up when you told us to because you know the specific time of the low tide.
Maybe you'd
I'm
like to
willing
come,
to bet.
Amaryllis.
It'd be north.
A bit of living history, as it were, and that is if you don't find a dead old boat morbid. But then he glances towards your arrows and he's like, but probably not.
Again, she smiles slightly. I would be interested to see how your people made the trip. There may be interesting stories left behind in the old bones of it.
Or if there's something from my grandparents or your grandfather, Richter.
Would very well be.
Imagine it. Maybe there'll be a book of where we came from, of what Jarviskjir is like.
Well,
a chronicle.
My parents, though young as they were on that ship. So maybe they left something else behind.
Richter, that's not true. Your dad is not
That's
native.
not true?
Your dad is not native to the village.
Yeah, so he did come in that ship, right?
He would have come in a different... your village was started by a group of settlers from Jarviskjir. Richter's dad came from a different group of people.
Oh.
Richter's dad is an outsider who married in. Just the love of his mother. This is from your backstory.
He's from Goldport, isn't he?
Yeah. Whereas the rest of you are from Oakenfur. He isn't from Goldport and had parents who got here and had a child. He's from Goldport. He has been there. Grew up there. Not that you would understand the meaning of it, but you would know that he is an outsider who fell in love with your mother and became more a paragon of the culture than anyone else, really.
Huh.
Yes.
Well, you'd say your grandmother or whatever, right? You might even just be like, oh yeah, I now remember that Oscar actually didn't come with the rest of them, You wouldn't think about it, because he's your dad.
Yeah, well, he's certainly not considered an outsider, is he?
No. Nah!
We should rest.
Yeah, I suppose we should. You're probably tired, what with all that foreign blood in you. Can't cut it.
Perhaps.
He'd give you a gentle tap on the shoulder as he says that.
I raise my the remaining dregs and down them.
Yeah.
Richter would raise his, and he'd also look expectantly at Amaryllis when they're raising the mugs.
Amaryllis
He's got a finger dipped in, going.
Amaryllis it still has not touched it. Just will after a moment just pick it up and slowly and then we'll like take a sip and be like.
Like you can see the muscles as she swallows the tiny sip of beer.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Rest? Sleepy time?
Sleepy time. Proper beds, maybe?
You've been here before. You have...
No, I mean we'll actually buy proper beds. Like I mean beds in an inn, not proper beds.
This is the inn.
Yeah.
You sleep on the floor in a sleeping
Last
room.
time we left, didn't we?
No, you stayed here.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. It's a room of good quality bedrolls and things that you all sleep in together.
Nice.
Which would be... It wouldn't cost much for the security of sleeping in a big room with a lot of people. There's no better sleep than sleeping next to a large Minotaur woman who's snoring deep and bassy. It is a nice and warm sleep, though, in the middle of winter, who's sleeping in a room with a bunch of Minotaur.
Does it smell like a stable, or is that racist of me to say?
Huh?
Does it smell like a stable, or is that racist of me to say?
It is racist, but there is a certain Minotaur musk that you can't escape.
Noted.
Yeah, it would be a silver for the comfort.
I'll just pay that, guys. This will be simpler if I just do that.
Yeah. We did a little loo to the morning, and you want to head out, looking around the shore, looking at the skeleton yard. There's a term for this, and I can't remember it out of the fuck off the top of my brain. It's
Graveyard.
gone. Yeah, ship graveyard. So, you want to go out on that. 1 second. I'm getting the coast sound effects up. You're not really there if you can't hear it. That's my advice.
You're not really there if you can't hear it.
Yeah, this'll do. Now the beach of Balcutta is chunks of slate or similar stone. It rarely goes down to the finity of sand, right? It's as you're traveling north on the south side, it was just rocky cliffside, but here it is a sloped beach, but it's large chunks of slate, which can sometimes be. I saw that kitty cat.
You go hunt that.
Failed acrobatics check from that one.
Excuse me while I clean up the mess that my child has just made.
The beach is mostly large slate chunks. It takes a little bit of time to get used to. In some areas it goes down to pebbles, but mostly it's large chunks of slate. As you'd actually go out a bit before low tide, as you are traveling, getting further away from Balcutta, you can look out over the sea and start seeing the remains of ships that have crashed or ships that have been abandoned. I'm going to want all of you to give me... I think perception checks are really just the most obvious choice. One more time. All good checks. All good checks. So actually, when you find a
Take
good
that,
place to
skill
look
monkey.
over, whenever Ian rolls well, everyone else does as well. It's like a
Yeah.
weird
I mean, to be
curse.
fair, like,
You have rolled many 20s in combat.
yeah. What I was going to say was, like, I imagine would make a bit more sense for you two to sort of know what you're looking
for.
whereas Avarice is just like, yeah, it's a boat.
I'll be honest, it's kind of obvious when you look over it. You see your ship. It's not the ship of your ancestors. It's not too close. It's actually quite a bit of ways away. Your view is marred by the winter sea mists. And the fact that there's this horrible, like, slush of snow and ice and sea foam forming around everything, which makes it look even more skeletal, actually. But it's obvious when you see the remains of your ship because of the unicorn figurehead. Now, any paint that was on it is completely stripped away. And yeah, it's been worn by time, and there's like kelp dripping off it and stuff. But it is clear that it is from your pilgrims, essentially. Now, like I said, it is a little bit of a ways away. It's going to be a swim to get out there. Or maybe if you're really, if you had a veil, it would be like maybe you could acrobatics between the other ship parts and things.
If only we had a veil. Everybody needs a veil.
So it's kind of how would you go about this? Because you can see it there, and the ship is quite well intact actually. Some of these ships are more decrepit, some of them are less. But it was a large ship, it is a pilgrimage transport ship, right? And it is mostly intact, damaged by being underwater all this time, but it's not like they chopped it apart. There are parts where there's stuff missing, they must have taken some of the wood, and there's no mast or anything like that. But the hull, pretty good.
Looks like it might be dangerous trying to swim over there.
There's presumably a lot if this is a ship graveyard, there's presumably a lot of wood.
Lots of
around.
flotsam, yeah.
That's
That's a
true.
valid point. There would be a lot of
could
like
raft.
just stray flotsam that kind of makes
Yeah.
up the beach.
Yeah, could get some flotsam together and try and lash it together for a simple.
I cannot see this going well.
Well,
It's a good idea, but my like dread sense is going.
I honestly I agree, and I think that is the best plan. I think Tyrone would be like, "Oh yeah, we've done it, right? We've built a boat. This is just a raft."
I
that
think
needs
this
to
is a
find-"
carpentry check from old Amaryllis. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it is.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Please.
So, technically speaking, I have woodcarver's tools, not.
Nah,
carpenter's
it's
tools.
the same shit in this context.
I'll take
Yeah.
that.
So the lot of
Nice.
you get the strong lads to bring you large chunks of flotsam and start trellising it together, getting it to fit together. But one of the things why it's is woodcarver's tools, because you're you don't use string to connect the things together. You kind of cut and slot
You're making a jigsaw.
in the kind of Japanese way.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not going to be long lasting.
Doesn't have to be.
Need to be. It only needs to get you there and back. And you put together this raft, and the three of you get upon it, and literally you can just hand paddle, or with a piece of flotsam, your way across. It's not very long, and like grab onto the other parts of ships and push through, getting through the what was that? Getting through the. I'm glad I'm not the only one who pretends to nom their cat.
Who doesn't?
It
They
is.
try to eat
it's an
me all the
instinct.
time. Yeah, it's revenge. Revengeance.
And you bring your raft through the sea scum and the sea foam. But of note, this water is fucking freezing. This is not not swimming was a good idea. This is the kind of thing that like you could die if you got swept out to sea in this water very easily, because the cold would sap all your strength away. But you can get to your ship, and the tide is so low that you can even get onto the deck of the ship, coated in barnacles and the life that lingers on the bottom of the sea. Even a couple of flopping fish that had an unfortunate life, and now they've fucking dice rolled against them.
Damn, Ian Fish.
So I imagine you would like take one of your ropes and like attach the raft to one of the outcroppings on the ship and get aboard.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's find us some sick loots.
Yeah, like I said, this is an old transport ship. So where the mast and stuff is, that's broken and taken apart a whole lot. And there's not like a captain's quarters chunk at the back of the ship, but there is clearly walkways that travel further down. Those are still filled with water. It's going to be wading, and it's going to be traveling and going through the water looking for things, unless you have any schemes against it. But I think it's just straight investigation rolls, unless you have any other idea.
Well, I'm first, and I find it very unlikely that there would be anything going as a result. But I'd like to ritual cast.
Well, there's you start doing that as a ritual. That gives a bit of time for these two to start poking around. Whether you're interested in anything on the top of the ship or just a real quick glance.
The hull is intact, right? Is
More
what you said, more or
less,
less.
right? There's...
I'm just... Why I'm asking is I'm wondering, is it worth destroying like an amount of water in certain areas because it will clear it out until it's filled up by the changing tide? Or is it like I take it out and it's just going to pour straight back in?
I think it will buy you some time of easier searching.
Just to know, I prepared to create or destroy water for precisely in this scenario. You have potentially.
I think
that would essentially give you a bonus to your investigation checks because you'll find it easier to find stuff that would be under the water.
So if I go for like 2 casts, so I eliminate 20 gallons of water.
I can use it twice as well. I've got 3 slots total.
Okay, so you start casting that, right? You start, and because you're basically casting it twice in a row, it's like one really powerful spell, focusing on, flowing the water out through the woods more than anything else, using the blessings.
Now, Create and Destroy Water is one of my favorite 5e spells.
It's got a lot of fun stuff you can do with it. By the time you've done that, Amaryllis, you do sense magic about the ship. It is, this is detect magic, so it's visual. But even now, you can tell there's something. Your sense is heightened. You can sense something. You're gonna have to look around for it. There's something.
So yeah, Amaryllis is like detect magic. She would just effectively stand there for 10 minutes with her eyes closed, like. You can always tell heightened magical activity with Amaryllis because of the blooming of the flowers and the quick wilting and blooming.
Yeah, they wouldn't assume you just got to the ship and just decided to have a nap.
Yeah, exactly. And then she finally opens her eyes. They're just like the solid, like red color, red pink of her flowers, rather than having a visible pupil or anything.
Yeah.
And she would just vaguely look around. There are traces of magic on this vessel. I do not know precisely where, but I will watch as we go. I cannot tell if it would be dangerous at this point.
Are you able to tell how old the magic is? Or just that it's there?
When you get a sight on it.
If I see what the cause of this aura is, I might be able to read back flows somewhat, but not from this ambient effect.
Alright. You're going to cast your 2 Create and Destroy Waters.
Yep.
And can you all give me investigation checks?
I destroyed that water.
I changed my adaptable nature. I had expertise in investigation. Now I don't.
As you
boom, flat
travel
19
into the
DO double G.
It's hard to travel through here. There's, doors have broken long ago, but like there's kelp and
it's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
things.
just because the water's not there, it's
wet and heavy. Yeah, it's actually quite hard to get past and looking around.
Oh god, then don't cut yourself on like shells, like
exactly mollusks.
are
muscles and things. They always sit on these sorts of situations. It's really interesting. It's really interesting seeing this place drained of the water and looking around. Well, again, any sort of detail is missing, and this was not a comfortable place to live while you were sailing. There's not much in the way of rooms, just big chambers, and areas for oars. This would have been mostly rowing power, actually. But you do, Tauren, you actually bump into something. You kick something back, and you're like, oh! And you would pluck up a long chest. It's long, not very tall, not very deep, not very thick. It's just sort of long chest that has
It's classic
artistry
Tauren,
to it. The artistry immediately for you, the dark metal used to make it, makes you think of Ing, your god of death. And the sort of swooping patterns that almost look like they naturally formed out of the wood. You immediately, even if you're not like, it's quite clearly locked.
Well,
Thing that's giving off the magical aura. Or
It's inside the chest. The chest is not thick enough to block your magic.
okay.
this looks like something indeed.
The magical aura is within. I would hazard an item of power hidden behind lock and key.
Could it be dangerous to open?
Maybe this is markings that he'd like run his hands over it. Markings of the. I mean, it's not the markings, but it's suggestive of the influence of Ing. But although it's a god of death, it doesn't necessarily mean that the spirit brings death. It could be in relation to perhaps a weapon inside, or some other item that relates to Ing in some way.
Please give me a religion check, Neil. I mean, you already know a lot about Ing, but let's see if there's any tidbits. Ing is also the god of the sea and death. You would have been taught that the older communities you came from saw the sea as death. It's something your ancestors overcome to cross the sea, probably with the blessings of Ing.
I know that Yarv doesn't really use schools of magic in
No, what you can detect in this context is an enchanted item inside the chest, right?
Okay.
Because enchanted items don't even make sense to this spell in regular D&D. But what you can see is an enchanted item inside, and what you see is it's a kind of holy magic. What I give with detect magic is more the source of magic than the school, because that's way more useful. It is a kind of dark holy magic which would fit what you've seen of Ing already, because Tauren built a shrine to Ing, and there is something sinister, but also settling about the place. And this is a very similar kind of, more powerful, quite powerful in fact, even muted by the chest, but almost a bittersweet magic.
Whatever,
It's like a graveyard at night.
whatever this is, it is similar to the shrine Torrin constructed.
Ing's magic.
Only on a different scale. This is quite powerful, whatever it is. Or maybe the shrine, its power, the power of the shrine is diffused, whereas this is concentrated. Either way, it is a powerful item. I am not able to tell whether it is for good or ill. And actually, I now realize I can potentially tell that. What happens if we get into the box?
This is actually a bit of a different situation, because this is almost be what Amaryllis does, almost similar to you, is like, I cannot tell, and the vision kind of comes to you very quickly, out of the norm, which would be kind of surprising, but you've actually found a lot of your magic coming quicker and stronger than ever before, almost like a renewed youth. You see great difficulty in opening the chest. But once it's opened, and it's one of those things where you almost see the silhouette of the four of you. What comes out of the chest is just the tendrils of a squid that then seem to solidify and sharpen. And the silhouette of Richter almost seems to fight with this before taking it.
Okay. So, like, she comes back to herself after that momentary vision, and this chest will not be easy to open. Whatever is inside, as Torrin surmised, bears the power of Ing. It will... It's strange to think of an object contesting Richter's will, but that would be my best guess from what I saw. Although Richter can conquer it and make its power his own.
Are you sure it was me?
Tendrils, like the squid, reach towards Richter, only to be suppressed.
Well, there you go. The flow says you can do it, so guess you better open it.
Remember
Fluffers.
that what I see is one path the flow may take. It is a possibility that Richter will conquer whatever this is. That I have seen it means it is likely a strong one, but it is not without danger. There are other paths that the flow might take.
Well, as you have the power to see, I happen to have the power to believe. I have faith. This is Ing's belonging, and it shows it to us now for a reason. We have to prove ourselves worthy, but I have faith that we'll overcome it.
Okay.
Amaris does actually nod at that, like, doesn't say anything, it's just...
Is this on the floor of where we are right now then?
Torrent's holding it, and at this point he's kind of pushing it to you.
I will take it then
Mm-hmm.
and gingerly open it with a hand if I'm able.
At first it seemed locked, but when you try to open it, Richter, the wood kind of around your thumb where you place it near the lock actually crumbles like rotten, sodden wood does. And it kind of pushes the chest to open. And inside, on what is essentially like a velvet base, is a spear. It's actually a shorter spear than yours, your old one. But the first thing you notice is the design of this dark metal. Not that you would know it, but it's actually made of dark steel. The tip of the spear is sharp and to the point, and multiple tendrils spin around the shaft from the head. Right? So it's almost like the squid is the head of the spear that twists down. And there's some filigree upon the base as well, and on the actual dark wood of the spear's shaft. It's one of those things where it almost feels like it would be very hard to actually wield this spear with two hands because of the tendriling tendrils that run down it. A spear for one-handed combat.
Ooh.
I will scoop it out like that, and do like a little, just a little one-handed spin.
Can
The weight is perfect. Go ahead.
Torin doesn't want to necessarily. He doesn't want to in this trial that because he foresees like a trial has been foreseen. He doesn't want to interact directly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's his role as what would be the spiritual guide. He's going to place a hand and he's going to say, "The spirits are with you," and you'll feel a slight breeze. And he's going to give you Owl's wisdom.
You might even take a moment after that, expecting what Amler is to describe to happen, for the tentacles to reach at you, and it almost looks like they could. Maybe it's the dim lighting here. Maybe it's the fact that the metal seems wet. It shouldn't be. It's in the box, but it's almost glistening. And that makes it look like it's moving, but it doesn't. It doesn't reach at you. It doesn't grab at you. It doesn't even. Not that you would know what it doesn't feel magical. It just feels really good, really well weighted, completely fitting to your combat style.
Try dipping the tip in water. If that doesn't work, perhaps it will resist when it tastes death. Perhaps the trigger would be the ocean or death.
Hold it out for some time. I will attempt to identify.
I wondered if anyone had it.
Yep.
This blessed by Ing object, and I do mean blessed, is a spear of life stealing.
Ooh.
Upon an attack, if you roll a 20 and it's not a construct or undead, that target takes 10 necrotic damage and you heal 10 temporary hit points.
Nice.
Whoa.
Can't complain with that.
I need to hear that again in a sec so I can type that down.
I can... you might be able to search Sword of Life Stealing in Roll20.
On natural 20, it do the suck. It give you the suck.
The important to remember is temporary hit points because they work different.
On a natural 20, you deal 10
if it's
necrotic
not on
damage.
Roll20, I can take you a picture of it. But it might be.
But it says 3d6 here, but you've changed it to 10.
No, that is a different thing. That's fine. I'll take you a picture.
Okay, thank
you. Ambrose would explain this in suitably esoteric terms.
Yes. It's an interesting one. You don't sense, because identify gives you more than just a description, you don't sense that it is stealing the life. It's more fueling from the death, right? This isn't a life magic thing. This is the death magic of Ing. More similar to something drawing from the Shadow Realm, and while Ing is shadowy, it's completely different, as the Oath-and-Fur spirit gods are.
I think Ambrose would actually say at this point, This item, it uses the death it inflicts to temporarily bolster you. I do not sense anything other than the blessing of your god of death. Perhaps what I saw was merely a metaphor for its suitability for your hand, but I would still be cautious in case there is more at work here than the flow is willing to reveal unto me.
Well, I've never held anything magic, let alone swung it. So, I will be cautious. It's a shame Balara's not here. I could practice on her.
Jesus. Well, he's just going to ignore that. It seems to suit you. I guess we were meant to come here. Part of the flow, or weave.
It's strange. The balance is exactly what I prefer.
Maybe it belonged to one of your ancestors.
I do not believe that that chest would have opened for myself or Torin.
Indeed, it seemed locked to me.
Is the chest still usable?
It doesn't look like it would ever lock properly again. It would also be not very useful for storing other things. You could store maybe potions or rations in it, because it's like a long, soft box, right? You could put it in the back of the sleigh. You don't need it to lock or close properly. It could be just useful. It's just a storage device, yeah.
I think Rita would like to keep it.
To
if
get
possible.
under the other arm, right?
Yeah.
You find nothing else inside the ship, and as you eventually feel the swell of water coming back in after you'd cause it to leave, you travel out. You take the raft back to the ship and back to the rest of you. Back to Bell, and that's where we're going to end off today. Real quick, talk about us and whose you are, and then we'll wrap it up. Starting with Neil. He's first.
This was fun. This was nice. I enjoyed the chill pace for a bit in this game. So often I feel like
it's always nice after a big, that was a cool, big, long encounter with like 3 acts, and then it's nice to just have a
a breath afterwards.
Yeah.
And a nice new tentacle. Spear.
I don't think you've ever had a magic item in this game, really.
No, I don't think we have at all. I mean, we've had magical potions. That's it.
Yeah, which is kind of their herbalism, and really.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. Unfortunately, I do need to pay. You can find me
My mom watches the show.
on twitch.tv/DaleRick as well. I play there and here. I play Pathfinder over there and 5e over here. Here I play in a village sim as part of the village. There I play in a kingdom sim as a ruler. Very, very different. Both have different stresses. And I would say that you should check them both out because they're both lovely worlds. Jarviskjir, Mother's Horn. It's great to finally be traveling in Mother's Horn and discover a bit more about it, because we've never, me and Ian,
you hear of it, you don't explore.
Exactly. I think me and Ian have been all over Yarv, the continent, but we've never been around Mother's Horn.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm glad you all enjoy it. Doxy's also on one of Delric's shows, I think on Thursday. I don't know the particulars, but she'd appreciate
she's
it
in
if you check it out there.
And they're all
they're all connected as well. You know, in a
yeah.
not as good as Jarviskjir, but okay way. Next is Dean.
Hi. I don't normally promote things very well, but I will actually give it a good go this week. I just uploaded a video on Mathis Games' channel, where me and him play Smash Bros. And if I beat him, we get to play Animal Crossing together.
I want to watch that.
It's
Do you
fun.
smash his ass?
And the plan is to do more of those in the future. So it will challenge me to do things. And if
I am
win,
glad because you are very funny, and you
It's
should
true.
be on Mathis's content more.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Additionally, my new
Such a
album is
polite boy.
done.
Ooh.
My new album is done, but it won't be coming out until the surrounding, what would you say, the surrounding assets are done.
Yeah.
It's called
So-
named after his muse.
12 songs about Neil.
If you take each letter from each of the first letters from every song, it spells out Neil, shut up. No, it isn't.
Songs.
So please go ahead and go to bandcamp.com/Dean Cutsforth and check out the other pieces of music that I have on there, or Spotify or iTunes or wherever. Just search for Dean Cutsforth, and hopefully we enjoy. The new album is very different.
Music.
It is very different.
I like that your music. I mean, the last two albums were quite different.
They were, yeah,
So
I agree. And
I
enjoyed
like
as well.
that sometimes. So it's sometimes nice to have a creator do a lot of like, okay, I know what they're gonna do, and it's comfortable, but it's also nice to just see the wide, I guess. instead
The
of
albums tell a story as well. If you know Dean, you can get under his skin. You can see he's with certain songs he's trying to say stuff, and it's also the albums are reflective of his mental state at the time.
as all
Yeah,
good
that's
art
very
is,
true.
really, right? Same with
Aye.
like Yarv and whatever Ian does. Next is Ian.
I'm Ian, aka Arvine, and I don't do much other than appear on Ollie's stream and also the Monday game. So I've missed this Wednesday show. I've missed taking a minute to say what can be said in 10 seconds. It speaks. And yeah, it's really nice to be back and back on it again because I missed it over the last week.
In such scary times, D&D is very comforting, especially in Yarv, which is home to all of you who've played in it for so long,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Me and Neil have been here.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Monday game because it feels very cozy to me because it's traditional Yarv.
The Monday
on Yarv
game
content.
on Patreon is a traditional. Here's a bunch of adventurers. They're doing like. They can go from a side quest to a personal quest at any time. They're just exploring, and that's nice to do sometimes. Like I said earlier,
It's been very good for the last. Like, I mean, it was always very good, but it's been like really.
it's had a really neat couple of stories, and all of the last two and all of the ones for the next little while are going to be available for all patrons. So if you just have $1, you can slide on there. You'll get like
Which is
usually 2 or
worth
3
it.
hours of content a
That's
week.
$1 a month for
And
many
you also
hours
learn more
of
about
content.
Yarv, and you should learn more about Yarv because more Jarviskjir content is coming soon. If you didn't know, I have a Kickstarter coming up soon. Actually working a lot with Doxy, and I did some work with Dean. We're expanding Jarviskjir into a board game series. If the Kickstarter goes well, there may be some topics that came up today that come up in Schism. Really exciting. That Kickstarter is going to be at the beginning of April. I'm really excited for it because I'm excited and it's exciting.
It's been in the works for quite some time now.
It's been in the works for quite some time now, and now it's finally getting real. You know, I have the models from the board game here, and it's all
Cool.
doable. It won't be long now. If you want all the information, follow the Discord, follow the Twitter. I do other stuff. You'll see that on Discord and Twitter. We're doing New Jarviskjir Sunday show. Jarviskjir,
yeah.
Amelia's detective agency, is now live on Sundays. It is a detective game set in Bastillion, the City of Magic. Bastillion is another place like Mother's Horn where you actually had been to it multiple times, but never really settled for long.
I don't
and
like
it's such an
Bastillion.
interesting place that everyone loves.
It's got
and
bad
everyone
mouth
loves
feel.
exploring it. So definitely, if you want that shit, check it out. It's on YouTube. It's also going to be on
We
Sundays
could
at
have
midnight.
saved Amelia from this.
My abiding memory of Bastillion was getting Arvine that book that boosted her charisma.
Oh,
Like found in some random backstore. Found
it's something about Bastillion. Like rooks are cool. Bastillion's really cool.
Is
There's
it
something
maybe
about it that
because
I'm-
you're racist?
Whoa! What?
And it's inhabited by Vascursed? Is that the problem?
Look, I'm on wheels right now. I will R2D2 scream and roll on screen.
And also, I haven't got around to watching the first episode that was on Sunday yet. I'm looking forward to it because I like Bastillion. I want to
I haven't watched it yet. I am going to watch it.
And
though.
Amelia is a very interesting character, and we're
I
really
like
excited
Amelia
for
as
her.
well,
She is the protagonist of her show. It's her show. No matter what distracting accent Josiah does, it is Amelia's show. And with that, I'm gonna you need to watch like at least the intro just for that. We'll be back next week, hopefully. Hopefully we won't take 3 weeks off, but it is it's crazy times, so just check the Twitter, check the Discord, and I will leave you now. We will stop ambling. See you later.
Bye.
Ding! Thanks for joining.